Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into the early buzz around Fantasy Li-Fi, The Girl Who Steals Time.
Sounds good. Big title.
It is. And this deep dive actually comes recommended by Jennifer from Kansas City.
Oh, nice. Hi, Jennifer.
Yeah, we hear Jennifer's a massive fan of open world exploring, especially, riding around on horseback. So we'll definitely keep that in mind.
Good context to have.
Absolutely. And just so you know, this conversation is produced by Misha who's an Adobe creator.
Great stuff.
And hard to believe, but welcome to Season 4, Episode 12. This whole season, we're all about getting into game reviews.
Right. And Fantasy Li-Fi is definitely topical. It's that new life sim RPG from Level 5. The folks behind the original 3DS game everyone loved.
Exactly. And it's in early access now on Steam, right, for the Digital Deluxe owners.
That's right. Over 1,500 Steam reviews already, and it's sitting at very positive.
Wow. Okay. Very positive is, well, pretty positive.
Yeah.
So let's start with the core gameplay. What's the hook?
Okay, so the foundation is this system of lives. There are 14 of them, I think. Basically jobs. You've got your combat ones like Paladin, Hunter. Your gathering ones like Miner, Angler, and then crafting like Cook, Tailor, Blacksmith. All that good stuff.
So a lot of variety there.
Definitely. And the key thing reviewers are pointing out is this really addictive cycle. You switch lives, right? Go mine some ore as a miner.
Okay.
Then swap over to blacksmith to craft some gear with it. Or, gather ingredients as one life, cook them up as another. It's all interconnected.
I see. So it's not just picking one job and sticking to it. You're constantly switching based on what you need.
Exactly. That seems to be the core loop people love. And we're seeing a lot of comparisons to the original 3DS game, but in a good way.
Right, like nostalgia plus improvement.
Yeah, one of the top Steam reviews literally said, it's just like Fantasy Life on the 3DS, but refined and polished to an insane degree.
Okay, insane degree. That's strong praise.
It really is. And it's not just mechanics. People are also mentioning the soundtrack, lots of nostalgia there, and that classic, charming Level 5 art style. Those are big positives coming through.
Okay, so the core sounds solid, very familiar, but better. Now, thinking about Jennifer and her love for open worlds and horses.
Yeah.
What's new on that front?
Right. This is probably key. The world itself is apparently much more open this time, like significantly larger and more expansive feeling than the 3DS version.
More room to roam.
Exactly. And a big one, I think, for Jennifer, they've added mounts.
Oh, really? Mounts. Okay, that definitely changes things for exploration.
For sure. It suggests getting around this bigger world will be, much smoother and maybe more fun, riding through that colorful world. Yeah, I can see the appeal.
Definitely sounds like it could scratch that specific itch. So, bigger world, mounts. What else is new? Any other major additions?
Yeah, actually, a pretty huge one is town building and even terraforming.
Whoa, okay, like Animal Crossing or something.
Sort of drawing comparisons, yeah. You apparently get your own island hub, and you can place buildings, customize it, even change the landscape, like carve rivers, build roads. It sounds quite involved.
So a real creative outlet beyond just the job system.
Seems like it. Comparisons to Dark Cloud 2 have popped up too, maybe because of that direct environmental manipulation. It adds another layer, right? Making your own space.
That sounds fantastic, actually.
Okay,
Gives
good.
you a real anchor in the world.
And for players who like combat and loot, there are also randomized dungeons, adds some replayability, keeps the fighting fresh.
Randomized. Okay. Good for grinding, maybe.
Potentially. Plus, the story sounds intriguing. There's some kind of time travel element. You go between the present and the island like 1,000 years in the past.
Time travel. Okay, that could lead to some cool discoveries and story twists.
You'd think so. And even just moving around feels different. Reports say you can now climb ledges and swim.
Basic stuff, but it makes a big difference in exploration, doesn't it? Opening up areas.
Totally. It just adds to that feeling of freedom in the world.
Okay, so a lot more exploration potential. What about how it actually looks and feels to play? Performance. Quality of life stuff.
Trade in your boring job for a brilliant career using Adobe Creative Cloud. Start learning now with the free trial link in the description.
Well, visually, like we said, it's got that signature Level 5 look. Very colorful, charming, people seem happy with it. And importantly, it apparently runs well on PC.
Smooth. Good optimization.
Yeah, it seems so. Even mentions of it running well on the Steam Deck, which is always good news for portability.
Definitely.
And QoL-wise, some nice touches. Apparently, tools don't break anymore.
Oh, thank goodness. That was always a bit annoying.
Right. Big relief for many, I bet. And you can save pretty much anywhere now, apparently. No more running back to save points.
Small things. but they add up to a smoother experience.
Exactly. The general vibe from reviews is sweet, colorful, and a good balance between doing quests and just chilling out.
Sounds very cozy RPG.
Very much so. One reviewer was super enthusiastic, said their expectations were high, but Fantasy Life, I exceeded them in every way. Talked about the mix of life sim, RPG, cozy stuff, beautiful world.
High praise indeed.
Okay.
It's sounding overwhelmingly positive, but you mentioned potential downsides earlier. Is there a but?
There is, and it seems to be focused pretty squarely on multiplayer.
Okay. What's the issue there? It has multiplayer, right?
It does. It supports up to 4 players online, cross-play apparently, and even 2-player local co-op, which sounds great on paper. But the reports are saying you can't actually progress the main story together or do the main life challenges, those key progression things in multiplayer.
Wait, really? So you can hang out, but you can't actually do the main game together?
That seems to be the gist of the complaints, yeah. You have to do the core story stuff solo.
That feels restrictive, especially if you bought it specifically to play with friends.
It does seem like a disconnect. And adding to that, multiplayer apparently doesn't even unlock for several hours. You have to play solo for a while first.
Okay.
Yeah, one user review basically asked why the game feels built for co-op in some ways, but the actual implementation is so limited, it's a really key point for anyone wanting that shared adventure.
Right. So if Jennifer was hoping her friends could join her whole journey, this might be a bit of a snag.
It might be, yeah. Definitely something to be aware of.
Okay, so multiplayer is the big caveat. Any other, maybe smaller criticisms floating around?
A few minor things. Some people found the dialogue and humor a bit juvenile. Like a Saturday morning cartoon was one description. Might not be everyone's cup of tea.
Okay, subjective taste there.
Pretty much. Also, some mentions of grinding needed to level up the different lives, which isn't uncommon in these types of games, but worth noting.
Sure, some grind is expected.
And a couple of PC-specific things, like seeing controller buttons pop up when using keyboard and mouse sometimes, or the audio mix feeling slightly off to some ears.
Minor technical stuff, potentially fixable, especially in early access.
Hopefully. Oh, and the price, $59.99 US or $69.99 for the deluxe with early access. Some feel that's a bit steep, especially with those multiplayer limitations.
Right, the value proposition changes a bit if co-op was your main reason for buying.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize all this, taking the good and the less good. What's the overall early verdict looking like?
Well, despite those multiplayer issues, which are significant for some, the overall vibe is still strongly positive, especially for solo players.
Right.
If you love the original or if you just want a deep solo life sim RPG, it sounds like a really strong successor. The bigger world, the town building, the polished life system, lots to sink your teeth into.
Like that review said, more Fantasy Life, but bigger and better for the single-player side.
Pretty much sums it up, yeah. And even for newcomers, if you're looking for something cozy, multifaceted, with lots of customization, it seems like it could be a great fit.
But the big asterisk is the multiplayer.
Trade in your boring job for a brilliant career using Adobe Creative Cloud. Start learning now with the free trial link in the description.
If you're primarily looking for a co-op story experience, maybe hold off.
Or at least manage expectations, yeah. Maybe wait and see if things change before the full launch, or if Level 5 addresses those concerns. It's still early access, after all.
True. Things can evolve. Now, let's circle back specifically to Jennifer and her request. Given her love for open worlds and horses, how does this stack up based on what we're hearing?
I mean, it sounds pretty promising on that front, doesn't it? The focus on a larger open world seems key.
Yeah.
And the addition of mounts is huge.
Yeah.
We don't have tons of details on how the mounts work yet, customization types, whatever, but just having them is a big deal for someone who enjoys that kind of exploration.
Riding around a big, colorful world, shaping your own town. It does sound like it could deliver that sense of freedom she enjoys.
I think so. That aspect seems like a direct hit for her interests.
Okay, so wrapping up our deep dive into these early Fantasy Life Eye impressions.
Yeah.
What's the final word?
I'd say the final word is, it looks like a really charming, really expansive RPG with a ton to offer, especially if you enjoy that solo journey of mastering skills, exploring, and building something of your own.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive. I'm Misha, and let me send out a huge thank you for listening. If you want more content on gaming, education, or other fun stuff, head over and find me on YouTube. Link is in the show notes. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next deep dive.